Hello and welcome to another edition of Capital Area Chats. I'm your host, Paul Brogan, and we're about all things in the greater Concord region, the people, the places, and the things that make this a wonderful place to live, to work, and to play. Today's guests are one of the reasons that Concord is all of those things and still some. They are active in our community. They bring such skill and talent to everything they do. They make this a wonderful place through just being here. But even more importantly to me, they're friends. And I value that friendship and I value our collaborations very, very much. And today we're here to talk about our latest teaming. I'd like to welcome the distinguished author, Margaret Porter, and she's more than that, but that's a good start, and Laura Knoy, a legend in the area. I mean, who doesn't remember fondly the exchange? But she also is a podcaster. She's a host. She is a wonderful, vibrant, and alive person who brings that magic to everything she does.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll just sit here and continue to praise both of you because I have enough I can say. But welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You'll have to give us time to praise you as well.
I know. It's just great to be here together again because anytime we're together, great things spring from our thoughts, ideas, and everything else. So we are teaming collaboratively for the third time on October the 18th with a fourth one in the wings, of course. I'll start with you, Laura. What's one of the things you particularly like about working with me and Margaret?
Well, it's the creativity and it's the energy. Paul, you just bring such positivity to the table, and you also are an organizer. I mean, those of us who have read your memoir know that you are known for organizing events, pulling people together, kind of making the impossible possible. So I love that energy and that let's put on a show, sort of attitude from you. And Margaret has written so many books and just knows everyone and is such a caring, kind, generous person. You really are. And so I love that. I also love the honesty that we have as collaborators. Mm-hmm. We have sat down and planned some of these events, and I can't wait to talk about the event that's coming up. So exciting. But there's honesty there too. If you're going to, I know from all my years in media, you know, if you don't have honesty in your relationship with your producers, things aren't going to go well. Mm. So we're also honest with each other. You know, we will say, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not sure how that would go. Or tell me a little bit more how that would work. So I also appreciate the honesty in our collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Likewise.
It's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Margaret, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, it seems like every time we get together, it feels like we've been doing this forever. And I feel like we're getting better and better at reading one another and knowing what can work and what might not work. Certainly the honesty, the enthusiasm, and definitely the fun. We don't agonize over issues related to putting on a show, putting on a production. There are a lot of details. And I think we're all detail people, which helps. Mm-hmm. We don't step on one another. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do and what they're responsible for. And it seems to come together seamlessly, which is fortunate. Those of us who've worked on prior productions, whether it's stage or screen or radio, know the things that can go wrong with personality clashes or just glitches that people can't deal with and get emotional or frustrated by. And I think our planning helps us try to avoid some of those pitfalls.
Yes, I'm a big planner, as the two of you know. I like to plan because having done live radio for 30 years almost, some of it in DC and some of it here in New Hampshire, in a live event, if something can go wrong, it just might, but if you've got your plan, you still have that to fall back on.
Exactly.
I also think your background, Paul, in organizing events and also in TV, and Margaret, you worked on the stage and also in television and film. You know, we recognize that, okay, things go wrong, but you do your best, so nobody gets too balled up about things.
No.
Yes.
No. And it does. The end product, our two author events, you can watch those. Viewers can watch those on Concord TV. And I think that the impact they make and just the overall feeling, you know you're in the presence of something really wonderful, and it just makes it such a joy when you see how it all comes together, and that's thanks also to Concord TV for, you know, filming it and making it look so good too. But we're doing something different this time. We have done 2 author events in which we spotlighted local and area authors, and we're doing another one next May 7th. Mark it on your calendars. But meanwhile, on Wednesday evening, October 18th at 7 p.m., we are doing something completely different but equally fun, and this is to mark the 90th anniversary of the opening of the Concord Theatre on Wednesday, October 18th, 1933 at 7 p.m. in the evening. So it's exact right to the time that we're doing this event. And can you share some of the things either you've discovered while we've been working toward this, or that you particularly are looking forward to? This time I'll let Margaret go first.
Well, I'm looking forward to having a sellout. Although the tickets are free, we refer to it as a sellout, and I believe we will. The ticket reservations are very brisk, and there are not many left. By the time this airs, there may not be, but hopefully everyone who wants to come will be able to. I think one aspect of this that's so important is making it a free event, providing it for the community, and letting the community of Concord celebrate this wonderful resource that we have, which has a long, wonderful history as a movie theater, which you wrote about so faithfully and lovingly in your book, The Concord Theatre, but also it's now a venue for concerts and lectures and events and for author events, and it has many uses. It's a very multi-purpose space because of the way the seating moves, and now there's up in the Canton Room upstairs, there's a lounge, and they have music and piano bar, and for people to experience that, people who are familiar with it and people who are not will have an opportunity, and then to see a movie on the big screen, especially after the pandemic when we got so used to seeing everything on the television-sized screen or on a phone or on a laptop, and to experience a really, really fun and enjoyable award-winning film on the big screen right
and the
here.
Sound system in there is just second to none. I mean, anyone who's ever seen it, even when it first came out, has never seen it until you've seen it with the high definition and that quality of sound and everything. So, Laura, I know that Moonstruck is one of your favorite films.
It is.
And
I'm so excited.
I think it's going to just be,
Right.
you know, for people. And those who have only heard of it and have never seen it,
Right.
it's not dated at all. I mean,
No.
the characters are so full and complete, and the acting is so wonderful. You can see why both Cher and Olympia Dukakis won Academy Awards for their performances.
Right, and I moved to Concord just after the Concord Theatre closed, and so many people told me stories about it. There's a real attachment, I think, in the community to that theater, and I think some people haven't been inside the new BNH Stage to see what's become of it, so they haven't experienced it, as Margaret was describing, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful venue. I'm not supposed to play favorites, but it really is maybe my favorite venue in town. I just love it there. So people that I've talked to who are planning to come, some of them are planning to come because they have these ties to the old Concord Theatre, like you, Paul, in the book. Some of them are coming because Cher.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you ask me, you know, one word why I'm excited, I would say Cher. I mean, I rewatched Moonstruck this summer, and it's just fabulous. It's just fabulous. And to see it on the big screen, a friend of mine texted me this morning and said, I saw the article in the Concord Monitor about your event. I can't wait to see Moonstruck again. So, and like Margaret said, you know, it's wonderful that we're offering this to the community.
Yes.
It's a community event.
Yes.
including the movie. We're also going to have a panel discussion, right, about the history of the
Yes.
theater.
Yes.
So it's just going to be, it's going to be great.
Exactly, I think it will be. And I think seeing Moonstruck with hundreds of other people
Right.
Oh,
makes
yes.
it even a better
Experiencing it.
experience.
Yes.
And yet the theater has an intimacy too, which when it was a movie theater, because it seated 499 people, people liked to come there because it wasn't so overwhelming with a balcony and, you know, this enormous space. It had a certain intimacy, and they knew the owner, Teresa Canton, and they could tell her off if they didn't approve of the movie, or they could say, Teresa, would you consider playing this movie? It's probably not going to make any money, but I know some people that would really love to see it, and she'd do it. You don't have with the chain theaters that kind of a connection with the owner. It was the same with Cinema 93 in Concord. Barry Steelman listened to people. He took into account what they thought or felt, and when he would be booking a film, he would weigh all of those things as far as determining, you know, what would work and what might not work. But people that go to a mall cinema or one of the new multiplexes, you don't have a relationship with the people there necessarily.
Yeah,
and that's
not at all.
one of the things. I mean, Teresa, 3 generations over 61 years of people coming there. When she was playing the Breakfast Club, people would say, my grandparents remember coming here, you know, years ago, and they remember you. Are you the same person that was here? And she'd say, yes, I'm a little heavier. I've got some gray hair, but it's me.
Aw.
And so she just loved when generations, you know, continued to come. So,
Well,
yes.
speaking of generations, we can make this a participatory event by
Yes.
inviting our community who attend to dress up from any decade from 1933 until, well, I guess 2023, if that's their preference. And you will have your Halloween costume already if
Yes.
you decide to dress up like a flapper in the 20s or a
Exactly.
Bobby Soxer in the 50s.
Yes.
But, so people are invited to wear a period outfit, and I think I'm going to.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because I had forgotten. And I'm just warning the audience, I have these hideous, hideous pants from the 1960s that I am going to wear. So I know, what decade are you going to do,
I'm
Margaret?
thinking about the 30s or 40s.
I haven't yet, so I have to think I'll have to conjure up something, I think.
I'm sure
So,
you will.
Yes. Now, people that were around in the 80s can certainly reconfigure the padded shoulders
Oh,
from them
absolutely,
into the
yes.
1940s
Yes.
easily enough. because
Yes,
that-
and big hair.
Yes.
Chair
yes,
hair.
chair, yes, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see. It's not required, so
No,
I don't
certainly
want
not.
someone saying, oh, I can't go because I can't find something to wear. But you know, it would be wonderful to have people, you know, do that and get into the spirit of the evening, because it's fun, it's some, you know, educational moments. You'll find out things you may not have known. You'll hear some nice stories from people associated with both the theater and the restoration and changes made.
And we have
And
special guests
We do
who are
have special
attending.
guests, so I think that everyone will be very surprised. And go upstairs to the Canton Room and have a drink before.
It's
They make
beautiful
a
up
great
there.
Bacardi and Coke. So, heavy on the Coke, of course. But, now, Margaret, did you ever go to the Concord Theater?
No, I didn't
No.
live in Concord
No, at that
time, but I did go to Cinema 93 in the years from moving
Yes.
to New Hampshire before it closed.
Yes, that 98, I believe it was.
Well, I could have, I think, what year did the Concord Theatre?
94, September of 94.
I moved to New Hampshire as a year-round resident in May of 1994, and was not living near Concord. So, and I've been a seasonal resident for many, many years prior to that. But again, Concord wasn't
Yes.
yet the center of my universe, as it now is.
We were playing the piano then, the Oscar-winning film.
Wow.
These things, it's scary.
It's
at
amazing how they
times.
stick in your
Oh,
head.
oh my God, that was
Yeah.
then. You know, I'll hear somebody say something, and instantly it's, oh yeah, I remember we were playing this film during that time period. So.
I remember Cinema 93. Like
Yes.
Margaret, I moved here just before, just after the Concord Theatre closed. But Cinema 93 was around for a couple of years when I first
Yes.
lived here. And one of the last films I saw there was Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Oh, wow.
which I had never seen. And seeing it on the big screen with other people versus watching it on TV
Yes.
was wonderful. It was wonderful. So.
Yes. Well, Barry Steelman will hopefully be one of the guests at our event, and it would be nice to see him. And he did the foreword for my book on the Concord Theatre. And he and Teresa were competitors to a degree, but they were cut from the same cloth because they both have a passion for movies. And it wasn't about, let's make a lot of money and put it all away. It was, what can I play that'll do justice to my theater and will entertain or inform people, that are living in Concord. So that was always, they shared that strong connection and belief in that, which again, we don't have. Except at Red River, we have a wonderful downtown venue, which continues to, I saw the new Poirot film last week. We went to see Haunting in Venice. Very good film. Excellent movie.
I saw the previews. It was a little too creepy looking
Yeah.
for me. So
Well, they made it look creepier than it technically is.
okay.
If you could see Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yes, if you survive that, you certainly can survive a Haunting in Venice. But Laura, so the evening, you said that you like to plan things in advance.
Right.
And do you do this also for your podcast? You have a wonderful podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, for everything I do, all the events that I do, my podcast. I'm Director of Community Engagement now for UNH Law, so I do public events for them. And my scripts are, I think, maybe becoming, I don't want to say legendary, but people know,
That wouldn't surprise me.
At 4 o'clock we're doing this, at 4:15 we're doing this, at 4:30 we're doing this. And it's always amazing to me as I put together these plans. You put them together and you think, okay, that's done. And then you look at it 2 days later and you think, wait, who's bringing the water? Or who's putting up the posters? Or at the law school, we try to have just one entrance so we don't have people wandering, the public wandering all over the school.
Yes.
Who's going to put up signs on the other entrances to let people know? So there's all these details. So I like to, early on, really lay out where things
Yes.
are going to happen. And that's from my radio background. I liked having an organized script. Obviously, you depart from the script. When someone says something interesting, you don't go, and read your next question. You say, oh, tell me more about that.
Yes.
But still, I like to have it all. I like to have it all organized. So
And are you loving doing your podcast?
it's so much fun. My only problem with the podcast is that I only do it once a month
Yes.
because it's a labor of love. I don't get paid to do it. I do it because I love books and I love authors and I love talking to authors. But I can't make an announcement now, but in the new year, I will likely be able to do it twice a month instead of once a month.
Wonderful.
But I'll have to say more about that.
Uh-huh.
I'll have more to say about. I can say more about that on your show, Paul, in the new year.
Well, speaking as someone who's been a guest on your podcast,
Yeah.
as Paul has been,
Yes.
it's a wonderful space and a wonderful conversation.
Oh.
And thank you very much
Oh,
for
you're
featuring
welcome.
us. We
It
were
is
early
great.
adopters.
It is great. It's Read Local NH for
Yes.
people who don't know it. And
Yes.
my only problem with it now is people are sending me, once or twice a week, people are mailing me books saying, I want to be on your podcast. And I have to say no, because I'm booked through January. But I'm hoping come January I'll have more opportunity to do more.
That's a
Well, you
great
do
sign of success.
Yes, it
And
is.
you're a wonderful cheerleader for authors in New Hampshire.
And bookstores
Good.
as
And
well.
bookstores.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Good.
It's wonderful.
you.
It's,
No, it's great.
So, and as authors, we really appreciate the
Oh,
Good.
yes.
recognition that you're giving the talent here in the
Yes.
state. I
Which
mean,
is so broad. This is such a large community of writers of all kinds, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, young adult, children's books,
Yes.
memoir, you name it.
It is
there are so
amazing.
many So many writers.
Yeah. I could do it once a week.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
Really. There's a lot of science fiction in New Hampshire, I've
Yes.
discovered.
I think it's because of alien invasions
yes.
and
And the
landing
Betty
of
and Barney
spaceships.
Hill.
Betty and Barney
Right.
Hill.
Betty,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
I mean, you're right, Margaret.
There's a
all
history
genres,
here.
but
Yes.
for some reason, I'm getting a lot from science fiction writers, which is great. I love science fiction.
Well, Margaret, as one of my favorite authors,
Oh, thank you.
and you are working on another book furiously as we speak.
Yes, one is about halfway finished, which is a sequel to the one that will be out next year.
Great. And when will it be out next year?
I believe it will be out on April 16th.
Wonderful, wonderful. A few weeks before our May
Yes,
7th
that's-
event.
Yes, it
And
will.
everything. So you'll
yes.
be on my show in April, and we'll talk about it
Well,
further.
thank you. I accept.
And you are up to how many books have you written?
The one that will be out next year is 16,
16.
and the one
You're working on is
that
17.
I'm working on 17.
Wow.
And when I finish it,
That's amazing.
18 is
I
waiting.
mean,
in the
it
wings.
really is.
Well,
And
it's
each-
over quite a long span of time.
Yes.
I became published in my 20s, and so it's an average.
And now you're in your mid-30s, but it's been very busy. But having read a number of them, I love, they're so diverse. You can't read two of them and say, oh, that's sort of like such and such a one. I mean, the Myrtle Wand just took me away, just completely, and yet the ones in Hollywood took me away in a totally different way. And I think I told you, in your previous life, you have to have been eavesdropping on movie sets and, you know, in the Hollywood scene at the Trocadero or one of those places, because you captured the time so perfectly, and you know, a mesmerizing read. And I suggest that anyone watching check out Margaret Porter and some of her titles and check out the
I
books.
thank you for the kind words. I'm going to really switch things over now, and you'll see how well I can write about 2023 and what filmmaking is like. So
I can't wait.
when the book comes out, yeah. So this is my first contemporary novel, and which is an exciting change. I always wanted to, but I'm also so attached to historical fiction, and it took the right story, which I began a long, long time ago and never quite finished, and I wasn't sure about going back to something that had sat dormant for such a long time, what that would be like, and it turns out it was great fun and a very rewarding project, which is why there's going to be a sequel to
Oh,
it.
that's great.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Oh, so exciting. Laura, other than the joy of collaborating with us, what are some of the things that make Concord really special for you and really a wonderful environment?
Well, it's Red River Theaters. Concord TV, they sponsor my podcast.
Yes.
They sponsor our events that we do at the BNH Stage. It's the BNH Stage. It's, I have to say, when my children were little, it was the rec department. And it sounds, funny, but it's just, that was a great gathering place. It's also, for me personally, because I'm a big outdoors person, it's the miles and miles and miles of trails that we have in this town. Sometimes I have time to drive up to the White Mountains or the Lakes region, the Belknaps and the Sandwich Range. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm busy. So I'll just go out on the Concord trails for 2 hours and not see a single soul. I've yet to see a bear. But I love that. Concord is very, you can go downtown, you can go to the library, you can go to Gibson's and have a coffee and buy a book. You can
And
see a
see
movie, Red
people
River,
you know
and
everywhere.
see people you know.
Yes.
I was at Gibson's last night at Cy Montgomery's event on her turtle book, which I can't wait to have her on the podcast. I saw 10, it took me forever to get out of there because I saw 10 people I knew. So you can have that,
Yes.
funky New England downtown experience. But then the next morning, you can go out on the trails, like I said, and think you're in, the North Country. So I love that.
It is wonderful. And Margaret, for you?
Well, she mentioned a lot of the
So
things that
yes.
I would have said. I like the sense of neighborhoods that we have scattered around the town. The south side, the west side, the east side, and the river that's not really a divider. It's just, it takes you cross it and you go to a completely different area with different things to enjoy. I think the restaurant scene here over the period of time that I have lived in
Mm-hmm.
being able to access Concord, has just exploded in wonderful ways, and so that's really fun. Whether you're a foodie or not a foodie, there's something enjoyable and delicious just about everywhere. It's hard to, to sort of, you make your list. Oh, I've got to try this place. Oh, I've got to try that place. Oh, I've got to. You're never having to cook them if you don't want to.
But you cook beautiful dishes and you share them on Facebook, and you have mouths watering
Only the
all
good
over
ones.
Concord.
Only the good.
So,
But it's that the sense of neighborliness and the community spirit and the wonderful organizations, the nonprofits, and I think
too,
we're just
Helen.
so well served.
I'm glad you mentioned the river too. That's a great source of recreation and beauty.
And the sunflowers
community.
this year
I
was
missed
just
that. Yes.
Such a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And something to look forward to next year in bloom season.
and there's still an intimacy, like the three of us getting together to do an event like the one we're doing on October the 18th, to get another plug in, is one of those things that still makes you feel that you're in a small community, that the three of us could say, we want to do this, and we're going to do this, and it happens. And it's just, it's very Judy and Mickey with let's put on a show in the old film. But it can happen, and if it were some other place, it might not be as easy to realize, or you might not have a venue as magical as the Bank of New Hampshire Stage.
Or a moderator as wonderful as
brilliant.
the experience, Laura Knoy.
Thank you. Concord it's the Goldilocks zone, really.
Yes.
It's not too big, it's not too small.
Yes.
It's got just enough big city and just enough small town and
does.
just enough country.
It does. And unfortunately, we're out of time again.
happens.
But I want to thank Margaret Porter and Laura Knoy for making time in their busy schedules to join me and to talk about our teaming on Wednesday, October 18th, 7 p.m. at the Bank of New Hampshire Stage, the 90th anniversary of the opening of the Concord Theatre. It's free, but you do need tickets. You can get them at ccanh.com or visiting the box office Monday through Friday between 12 noon and 6 p.m. It's an evening that you will not forget, and I hope you'll join us there and come over and say hello to Margaret and to Laura and to myself. We'd love to know what you think and whether this is the kind of thing you'd like us to do more of, because we're always up for doing a show. Anyway, thank you both. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Concord TV. Thank you, everyone out there. I want to thank you for tuning in. This is Paul Brogan, your host. I'll see you again soon.